Welcome back to Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Soul Path reading. We haven't done one of these in a while, and it's been on my radar to start doing these again. I actually intended on doing a Sacred Union energy update, and we will have that this week. But then some interesting messages started coming through, and I began to channel. I had to pause because my cat is wreaking havoc and knocking stuff over, which is kind of unusual for him. But it also gave me a chance to kind of sit with this energy and understand it more. So I had begun the reading talking about how I personally feel like I'm in some kind of a preparation mode, and I don't know if anybody else is feeling like that. As I had channeled and talked about in the Sacred Union Energy Update, I feel like a lot of Divine Feminines are in this kind of retreat mode, in this rest mode. For myself, I call it fill up your cup mode. And that has been activated for the past couple of weeks. And I allowed myself just to accept it, just to surrender to it. And that actually feels really good. I feel like I'm at a lot more peace. I feel like I am at a lot more overflow where I'm able to give more because I'm in a much more steady place of balance for myself, a much more stable place of balance within myself. I was getting to the point where I was burning out, getting to the point where I was feeling drained. And so I realized that I needed to not neglect myself. In fact, I needed to give to myself more. And so that's been a lifelong lesson for me, and something that I'm really beginning to shift and embody, and change and put into practice. And so I realized as December 1st rolled around, it's like I woke up during that new moon in Sagittarius, and all of a sudden I felt this shift. All of a sudden I felt it click, where I had more motivation again. I was feeling inspired. I was feeling productive again. Like that fill up your cup mode had really worked. And I'm still feeling that way. Learning how to balance it out, learning how to flow with the energies, but having this kind of container with which to do my work now. And that is exactly what I needed. It was me working with my masculine and not just my feminine, creating a sense of structure for myself so that my feminine, which likes to be very free flowing and intuitive and fluid, can work within a container and be held within that container. And so having that sense of structure has really helped myself. Has helped me to fill back up, to help me fill those creative coffers, to help me feel inspired and motivated to do this work and continue to do this work, because energy work is extremely draining. No, I don't want to say that anymore. It can be draining if you are not putting proper boundaries into place. It had been draining for me once upon a time. For me now, it's been energizing. It's been energizing for a couple of years. But when I look at everything else that I was trying to do with my work, then it can feel draining because I'm putting my efforts and my attention in a lot of different places and programs and courses and books. I don't just have one business, I have three. So I have a nonprofit, I have my creative business, and I'm not working at it all at once. Thank God. But I also have animals. I also have family. I also have friendships and a social life. And so finding that kind of structure was a real challenge for me, as I think it is with any kind of an entrepreneur. Especially when you're going through the ascension journey, ascension adds an additional layer because then you're also doing the conscious healing work. You're doing journaling, meditations, energy healing, or energy work. And so it can take its toll. It can feel like a lot. I always used to say that ascension was like a full-time job. And for many years, it really felt like it. It felt like my ascension, healing, and growth was a full-time job. And that's why we always say it's not for the faint of heart, because you're also trying to maintain a sense of normalcy while normalcy kind of gets upended. Well, what's been happening is we have really been shifting into what I call the higher heart ascension, which is more of an organic process. It's more of an embodiment. So it's conscious. You're still consciously aware of it, but it doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to feel like a struggle. You're not working, and it's not so much of an effort as it might have been in the past. And that's all for divine purpose. Every step of your journey has brought you to where you are now. Every step of your journey has been laying the groundwork and the foundations for the creation of your life, whether that is your business, your social life, your relationships, your family, your work, whatever it is. you're creating foundations for your life. And so for myself as an entrepreneur, I have been trying to find that balance, especially with this work that I'm so passionate about. And I'm passionate about everything. And so trying to, as a multi passionate person, trying to find that balance has been a little bit of a challenge. And that's where I'm learning to not neglect myself. That's where I'm learning not to abandon myself, not just with regards to relationships and other people, but with regards to work itself. With regards to the service work that I do, with regards to basically every aspect of my life. And that's something that I realize has been shifting for me and changing over the past year as I've continued to evolve. Now, what does that have to do with this spread here that I had pulled? Well, kind of everything, right? So I feel like we've been in kind of a preparation mode, and what that is, I'm not quite sure yet, but it does very much feel like something is changing. It feels like we are transforming, and if you're resonating already with what I'm saying, then you're going through this metamorphosis, you're going through this transformation too. Remember, we're always evolving, we're always going through layers on this journey, and for myself, in that fill up your cup mode, what was activated was a deeper layer of healing, a deeper layer of myself, a deeper layer of embodiment. And so that is all part of metamorphosis. That is all part of transformation. When I pulled these cards, it was a very interesting energy, and I'm gonna share a little bit one by one. The first thing that I got was this kind of dusk and dawn energy. You see by the colors of these cards, you have this dusk and dawn energy, and that in and of itself is the cycle. We're in the northern hemisphere, at the very least. We are in uh, um, autumn, fall, moving into winter. And autumn slash fall is always seen as this kind of um, decay. The leaves fall to the ground, the leaves crumble, they become one with the earth again. There's this bears go into hibernation, squirrels gather their nuts. And what's really beautiful is I've been really paying attention and connecting with the squirrels in my backyard and watching them. And they have been watching them, gather their nuts, watching them play, watching them do their routine. It's been really fun to watch the animals, the wildlife, the birds get ready for winter. And I realized that I was kind of doing the same thing, getting ready for winter. And so you have this kind of reflective mode. And then we move into winter where everything feels like it's barren. But it's not quite barren, it's just kind of hidden from us. We might not be able to see what is happening. We might not be able to see what's on the other side. In fact, what I'm even getting is we might actually even forget that the bear is in hibernation mode because we're not seeing him in the cave. He's deep in the cave, deep into hibernation. We don't even see it. We might even forget that. We might, in essence, kind of forget ourselves. And so that's where being mindful and fully conscious and fully aware of ourselves is going to be a really um, pivotal point for us, a pivotal practice for us, especially collectively, to be mindful, to remember who we are and keep remembering who we are, even as we're going through this growth process, even as we're going through this transformation. And I don't mean remembering who we are by means of clinging to old ways, habits, patterns, etc. I mean remember who we are at the soul level, especially as the physical world might reflect to us something very different, a very different landscape than what we feel inside. It's really important to remember that everything has its cycles and everything plays a part in the grand scheme of things, and so do you. And so, what we're seeing in the landscape of life, in our physical reality, is not going to be all there is. You might see the cave, the surface of the cave, but you don't see what's happening within the cave itself. And that's the same with you. You might see something happening, or you might see nothing happening within your life, or collectively, we might see so much happening in the world, but there's so much energy that's still taking part. There's so much momentum that's still happening underneath the surface, and we have to remember that. We have to come back to the core of who we are. We have to go back to the basics of our spiritual journey and of our learnings, our studies, and keep putting it into practice. Keep putting everything that we've learned about ourselves and who we truly are. When we strip away all the ego stuff, when we strip away all that soul sludge, when we redefine our beliefs, who are we? Continuing to get back to the core of who we are. So this dusk and dawn energy is this cyclical kind of energy. after this barren landscape, what looks like a barren landscape, but there's still movement. The birds are still there, the squirrels are there, still there, the trees are still there. They might have lost their leaves, but they're still standing strong, and they're going to bloom again, especially in the spring. The spring is all about renewal, rebirth, new life. And then we move into summer, and summer is all about that life force energy. It's all about vitality. We experience that rebirth and we look on it with new wonder. It's like colorized, right? You know how everything seems brighter in the summer because it's warmer, because it is, we perceive it differently. It's because we're seeing ourselves differently, because we're experiencing it differently. And so that's the cycle that we experience as humans, but it's also recognizing that that cycle is part of our very transformation. So, with this TikTok card, what's interesting about this is it really feels like the solar plexus energy. The solar plexus is identified as a yellow color, golden color. This energy feels a little bit muddy. And so muddy, how do I say this? Muddy, there might be some shifts that are going on within you. That a transition, a transformation that's going on within you, especially within the solar plexus, that might feel like things are a little bit muddied, that might feel like things are a little bit unclear, and you're being asked to surrender to it. You're being asked to surrender to that uncertainty. You're being asked to accept where you are. It's not about pushing forward. It's not about pushing onwards, but it's about allowing yourself to surrender so that that clarity can come to you, so that that knowing can be felt within you. The solar plexus is the heart of the soul, the seat of the soul. It is where your identity resides. And we're not talking identity as far as like your ego identity. We're talking identity as far as your soul identity, who you truly are. And so, right now, again, you might be going through a little bit of a transformation, a little bit of a transition period between an old version of yourself and a new version of yourself. And that's why things might be a little bit unclear, things might be a little bit muddy. But it is for a divine purpose, and everything is happening in divine timing. That's what this TikTok energy feels like with the clock here. They're also reminding us to remember that time is a human construct. We think of life as a progression. We think of life as this linear thing, but that is a collective construct that helps us to have our human experience, that helps us to define our human experience. But if we allow that to be stripped away, if we allow ourselves to get back to the very heart and soul of who we are, we recognize that it's all about alignment. That's all divine timing truly is. Divine timing is just about alignment. And so connecting to the heart of yourself, connecting to the soul of yourself, and recognizing that this transformation is happening in divine timing because of everything that came before, because of all the cycles that you've gone through before, because of your ascension experience that you've gone through before, all the healing, all the growth, all the shifting that you've done has compounded and connected to lead you here. Everything is interconnected. So there is this balancing that is happening within you. If we're talking about it in terms of polarities, your masculine and your feminine balancing out the sacred union energies, for example, there is this embodiment of that balance. There is this embodiment of the harmony between the two polarities that is happening right now. That's part of your transformation that you might be experiencing, and your job is to continue to maintain that balance. Your job is to continue to keep tuning into that wisdom. Your job is to continue to recognize that sanctuary within yourself. Again, with this no place like home card, what I like about this is it's reminding me that wherever you go, that's where you are. Wherever you go, you carry home within you. Home is a place that is within you. It is an energy. It is a feeling. It is a creation within you that stems from you. It's not something necessarily outside of yourself. Outside of yourself is just a reflection for what you carry within. I've talked about this all the time, that spirituality is not just something that you do, it's who you are. Spirituality is a practice. And it's an embodied practice. It's not just about doing tarot readings. It's not just about meditating on a rock. It's not just about doing yoga. All those things are beautiful expressions of your spiritual practice. But spirituality is first and foremost a practice. Spirituality, first and foremost, is a personal path that is laid out within you, that you are guided to within you. It's your own soul that is guiding you. And so when you might have your altars, for example, but your sanctuary, your altar is within you. That's what the higher heart is all about. And so I feel like that's what's balancing out. And I feel like everything has led you to this place. And so that's what I feel like we're preparing for. You might feel like you're in this kind of rest mode, but don't feel like you're being held back, and don't feel like you are leaving something behind or leaving yourself behind or you're being left behind. Don't feel like you are missing the mark here, because everything is happening in the exact perfect divine timing as it needs to, because you're balancing out within yourself. You're balancing out within your journey. And balance isn't quite the right word. It's more along the lines of you're becoming one. There is this wholeness that's coming into alignment. What they're showing me is a pillar of light that is streaming down from the central sun, down from God, and that is coming through all your chakras, lighting up all your chakras. It's this pillar of light that is running through your whole meridian. And as it's running through that whole meridian, everything is coming into alignment. You're coming into alignment. That's a result of the inner work that you have done. You could not align as you are without that inner work that you have done, without the journey that you have been on. That's what the depth is for. That's why we take you deep into the depths of your journey, is what I'm hearing. That's why your spirit team brings you into the depths of yourself to clear out what I like to call soul sludge. It's just the programming, the conditioning, all of that, the patterns, the beliefs that may have served you at one point but don't serve this point of the journey. So what's happening is you're just coming into oneness. You're coming into pure wholeness. That's the balance. It's not so much a balance of either or. Although we look at it from a masculine and feminine perspective, we look at it from like a black and white perspective, coming into balance, that is wholeness. But this is a pureness. This is a wholeness in alignment. It's like everything coming into alignment, including, yes, your masculine and feminine energy, including, yes, your yin and your yang, including, yes, your dark and your light. But that couldn't have happened until you got to this point. Everything is happening in this divine timing. So keep having faith in where you're going on the journey. You might not be able to see exactly what's ahead, but that's where you have to lean into that trust. That's where you have to lean into that faith. That's where you have to lean into that knowing. There's an owl atop her head, atop of her crown chakra. You have to trust in the inner knowing and the wisdom that you're receiving. That's part of your journey, is learning how to trust in your inner wisdom, learning how to trust in yourself, your own intuition. And also, with the bird being represented here, is seeing that bigger picture, not just looking at the narrowed focus as far as what's being presented to you, but understanding that there is more that is happening on the energetic realm, and seeing the bigger picture of what's happening on the energetic realm. I feel like this is applicable to your individual journey as well as the greater collective and what's being seen on the world stage. And remember that it is our ascension journey as a whole. I talk about that in all of my Sacred Union energy updates and readings. I talk about that in my book, in all of my sacred channelings, that everything that we channel here, on my channel at the very least, also has an impact on the global collective, also has an impact on what we're seeing on the world stage. Everything is interconnected. Macro and micro, micro and macro, everything impacts one another. And so the more that you are allowing your journey to just be, allowing yourself to do whatever it is that you're called to, that could be to rest, that could be to be of service, that could be to rest so that you can be of service. Whatever you're called to at this moment, know that it's in preparation for this transformation, this metamorphosis that you have been undergoing and are continuing to undergo, just at deeper and deeper and deeper layers and levels. The healing journey is never done. Your journey is never done. And I know that can feel kind of disquieting or alarming for some of us who have been on the journey for a while, because it's like, oh my gosh, do I still have to, what else do I have to learn? What else do I have to heal? What else? It's exhausting. It can feel exhausting, but it's only exhausting if we allow it to be. It's only exhausting if we're still in the victimhood. It's only exhausting if we're still in the pain, right? If we shift our perspective and see the journey as what it is, it's a journey of evolution. If we shift our perspective and allow the joy of the journey, the joy of the unknown, then everything changes. Many, many years ago, I consciously decided I did not want to learn through pain anymore. I want to learn through love. And everything began to change. Everything in my journey began to change. Everything about myself and my journey began to change because I was consciously making that decision, consciously recognizing how in the past I had learned through pain, and I was grateful for those experiences and those lessons, but that I only wanted to learn through love now. That's part of this higher heart experience, this higher heart transformation, this higher heart ascension journey. Okay, I'm going to leave that here. My soul path readings are a little bit shorter. We're gonna be doing more of these. We're gonna pick up on these again. You might be in a little bit of an energetic prep mode. Just allow yourself to receive it. Allow yourself to receive the wisdom you're getting in that reflection, in that introspection. Allow yourself to rest and let that healing energy move through you as you're resting. Even if you're watching TV or reading books, there's so much that is coming through in cultural things like books and movies and stuff. Allow yourself to receive whatever it is that you're called to, whatever it is that is sparking your awareness, whatever it is that is coming through. Because everything, the universe works through everything. Everything. And so allow yourself to receive those messages too. And allow yourself just to trust in what's to come and trust in your own transformation. All right, I'm sending lots of love and lots of light.